What is it with scooters? Does your city have a pile of rental scooters that invade sidewalks, bike trails, and some much less appropriate spaces? Hello and welcome. I am George Schlacek,
the one and only,
and an avid, sometimes crazy cyclist. Do I like those scooters? I'm sure you have some kind of guess about that, but what would be the point of making a rant video about electric scooters that are obviously becoming more and more popular? In my city, Edmonton, Alberta, we have 3 different companies renting out scooters. You don't have to go far to see them in action, but you're even more likely to see them parked, sometimes in inappropriate places. The flexibility of dockless operation has its advantages, but with the scooters being left just about anywhere after a short ride, they can also cause a pile of problems. Here's a quote from the Twitter feed of the City of Edmonton.
We want everyone to be comfortable with e-scooters in our city. Starting July, we're limiting the number of e-scooters in circulation to balance demand with the need to keep city sidewalks safe and clear of clutter.
This raises the question of how many e-scooters are in Edmonton in the first place. Cluster of scooters here. Well, I definitely noticed that there are more scooters that are parked than the ones that are actually riding. Well, I guess there's really no way of telling how many scooters there are in Edmonton. That is something I'll have to look up. But so far on my little bike ride, I definitely found a lot more scooters parked, and some of them parked in improper manner. Then I've seen scooters riding, but there are people riding these things, and so I'm just baffled by how many there are parked everywhere, and I'm really wondering how many there are in the city on any given day. I did some digging, but couldn't find a reliable source. An article about the spin scooters that came to Edmonton in April of this year pegs the number at roughly 450. Assuming that this is roughly how many there are allowed, and knowing there are 2 other companies with a comparable presence, the number could be somewhere between 1,300 and 1,500. The city has a whole web page dedicated to scooters and the rules governing them. As it turns out, their use is limited to parkland, shared pathways and bike lanes, as well as roads with a speed limit of 50 kilometers per hour or less. Scooters are for one person only. Taking passengers is prohibited. Also interesting to note here is that anyone who has their own electric scooter may not use it on city property, as provincial law does not allow for the use of personal electric scooters. Isn't there something wrong with this? Why are rental companies given a monopoly? Anyways, enforcement does not seem to be very thorough, as I've personally seen plenty of electric scooters that appear to be personally owned. How good are those scooters compared to other modes of transportation? The scooter companies claim that they are net zero when it comes to carbon emissions. That may be true when you only count the electricity the scooters use and the fact that it may be sourced from renewable energy sources or carbon offset credits are purchased. Look a little further and they're definitely nowhere near net zero. An article on the website theverge.com, link in the description, mentions a study by the North Carolina State University that looked deeper into the entire life cycle of the scooters. Once you consider all of the emissions generated during a scooter's life cycle, like the production of the materials, which include the lithium-ion battery and many aluminum parts, the manufacturing process, transporting the scooters from China to where they're being used, and finally, emissions from daily operations like collecting, charging, and redistributing the units. The true environmental impact becomes clear. It turns out that the average CO2 emitted per scooter mile traveled is just over 200 grams, compared to the average car, which emits 400 grams of carbon per mile traveled over its life cycle. This is about half. Now consider how much more you can haul with a car, and the scooter doesn't look environmentally friendly at all. You generally can't replace a car with a scooter. So we can definitely say that this net zero emissions claim is bullshit. An investigation by Quartz, or QZ.com, also linked in the description, that followed a fleet of bird scooters in Louisville, Kentucky in 2018, found that the average lifespan of a rental scooter was about 1 month. The scooter companies were trying to improve on that, and one would hope that they've had some success by now. But even if the lifespan was an entire season, this compares poorly to any other mode of transportation. Heck, I ride bicycles that are pushing 40 years and need nothing besides the occasional drivetrain overhaul and perhaps a couple of tires every 2 or 3 years. They don't need a motor, and therefore they don't need lithium-ion batteries. Someone explained to me why the city of Edmonton doesn't have a bicycle share. Is it because the average Canadian is too out of shape to do short trips on their own power? Wouldn't it be nice if we could keep bicycle paths and shared pathways free of motorized contraptions, perhaps with some exemptions for those with limited mobility? You can tell by now that I'm not a big fan of the scooters. However, if the flood of scooters in our cities somehow helps with the development of a better cycling infrastructure, then I'm definitely in favor of dumping more scooters into our cities. Yes, I have mixed feelings about the environmental impact and the way it is simply being ignored. But once people riding scooters get into collisions with motorized vehicles, which seems inevitable in the long run, the call for improved infrastructure will definitely grow louder. I've been dreaming of safer cycling for a long time. Maybe those scooters are the ticket, because it's definitely not the same people riding them who usually demand better bicycle paths. Now, please don't get me wrong. I don't want anyone to get hurt in collisions.
Yeah, the spin, they all seem to have a tag that says, enjoy a ride, get $5 ride credit. And now I'm getting the temptation here. I think I'm gonna go for that. I'm gonna rent the scooter for like 15 minutes or whatever it's gonna take to get an impression of how these things ride and learn how to operate one. And yeah, I'll share it with you. I think that's gonna be fun.
This video wouldn't be complete without actually trying out one of those scooters. So I downloaded the Spin app on my phone and proceeded to rent the scooter for a short ride.
Alright, well, I am, according to this app, I don't know if you can see the map properly here, but there's a symbol there with a little scooter on, and the blue dot, that's where I am. So I am right now working my way toward the magic scooter. And I don't know how accurate this all is. It's my first time trying this out. But I'm definitely closing in on it. Oh, no, I found it. It's right there. Yeah, like according to the app, right now I am right where that scooter is, see? And there it is, right there. All right, now I gotta figure out how to make this thing work. If I can even do this. Okay, there it says ride on my app. Okay, now I got some instructions here. Edmonton routes. Well, let's see if this even works. Oh, I gotta scroll down to read more using the brake, blah blah blah. Okay. Error with payment. Please retry or add another payment method. Add payment. I don't have a payment yet. Well, jeez, yeah, I have never set this up, so just bear with me. Alright, according to this, I'm ready to go. Gotta hold the camera with this hand, and now I'm riding the scooter for the first time. This is kind of exciting. Oh, the brakes on the other side, holy. Yeah, this takes some getting used to, most definitely. But it works. According to this, I'm going like 18k, 19 kilometers an hour. This is fast. Yeah, I gotta say, this thing is terrible on rough roads. Bounces too much. The wheels are too small. Yeah, I guess that's part of the deal. Yeah, this is where I'm going to leave it. This is where I'm going to leave this thing. Yeah, the scooter is now locked up, and I can vote how good this ride was. Well, I'm going to give it a 4-star. There. This cost me... This was 1.1 kilometer, cost me $3.62 for a 7-minute ride.
What I've learned is that the scooters are definitely convenient, at least in the summer. But due to the small wheels, they are also a very rough ride, especially in a city like Edmonton, where the streets and bike lanes are left to deteriorate for a long time before any major repairs are done. Having knocked the scooters enough in this video, I have to admit that they can be a lot of fun to ride. I believe that improvements are possible to the point where those rides can be a competitive mode of transportation when compared to a car or a bus. For the moment, That's clearly not the case, except when it replaces a one-person car trip, which is probably quite rare. Compared to a bicycle, simple technology from over 100 years ago, they will never come close. Bicycles are magic. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this video and give it a thumbs up. Regardless of how you feel about the scooters, we can all get along on the trails. Got some experience with the scooters that I might have missed? Feel free to leave me a comment. I really like to discuss active transportation on this channel. Here are some other videos you may want to check out. Did I miss anything regarding the scooters? Leave me a comment below.